I wanted to call this emergency bioconservative meeting because I've just received disastrous news that I feel like you all should know. A scientist named Dr. He Jiankui has recently published a video detailing his experiment on 2 embryos. This doctor genetically modified 2 embryos and they were just born. Are you kidding me? That's completely unacceptable. I can't stand for this anymore. I don't care if he doesn't call himself a transhumanist or not. He's just as guilty as them. But please continue. What happened? Well, Dr. Jiankui hypothesized that by creating a mutation that disabled the CCR5 receptor from cells, the children born with this genetic mutation would theoretically be immune to HIV. He approached a couple and recruited them for this study by appealing the idea that the children wouldn't have HIV affected. And using IVF, the doctor chose several embryos to edit using CRISPR to deactivate both copies of the CCR5 gene. After development, Nana and Lulu were born with germline gene edits to the CCR5 gene. I'm so sorry to interrupt, but since I recently joined, I'm not sure how this is transhumanism or what that even means. Well, you have to learn eventually. Transhumanists basically see humans as a quote-unquote work in progress, and some even say half-baked. Essentially, they see humans as something that's not yet perfected, and in their words, use technology to remold humanity by using something like genetic engineering. Thank you for that explanation, John, even though it was pretty biased. Let me try to help. They promote an interdisciplinary approach to understanding and evaluating the opportunities for enhancing human condition and the human organism opened up by the advancement of technology. Also, John, they don't just look at genetic engineering, but rather other technologies we are currently possessing. Transhumanists also try to anticipate future technologies like molecular nanotechnology and artificial intelligence. As for human enhancements, they mainly want longer lifespan, eradication of disease, elimination of unnecessary suffering, and augmentation of human intellectual, physical, and emotional capabilities. You know, until now, I used to think that transhumanists wanted to use science and tech responsibly to become what they call post-human. I'm afraid you lost me. What the hell are post-humans? Transhumanists say that they are beings with vastly greater capabilities and capacities than present human beings have. Also, to your point, John, I don't think the doctor said that he was transhumanist in the first place. Well, his actions say otherwise. It seems like it falls in line with radical transhumanism. You know, I've met some sane transhumanists. Once, like, they say they use active steps to increase the probability that they will survive long enough to become post-human through things like having a healthy lifestyle. Then you have the kind of weird people who prepare their bodies to be cryogenically frozen. I mean, I understand that their vision is to do things like enhance our memory, increase emotional experiences, and generally have a better control of our lives, but I think it's really excessive. Oh, I see. Because this is my first meeting, can you explain where we bioconservatives stand on this issue? Of course, Sophie. So bioconservatives describe those who wish to conserve humanity as it is. We basically want humanity to remain untouched by things like enhancements. It's also interesting to note that you'll find people who are bioconservative for a whole host of reasons. Some might join us because of religious reasons, while others may do it for political ones. There are other people who have mixed feelings and see both sides. They sometimes refer to themselves as bio-moderate, actually. Yeah, that's right. We also believe that tech risks compromising human dignity, which is basically saying things that are a part of our life that make us human. One example of that is death, which we say is a natural part of life and shouldn't be fought so hard against by increasing our lifespan through artificial means like genetic engineering. Oh, okay, I see. So how do you guys feel about the CRISPR babies then? I'm wondering. Horrible. Those poor babies. The greatest part of life is knowing that we aren't responsible for who we are because we don't control our own genetics by picking and choosing. And when we start doing things like genetic engineering, we're actually setting ourselves up. A great example that I heard was that today when a basketball player misses a rebound, his coach can blame him for being out of position. Tomorrow, the coach may blame him for being too short. Part of being human is figuring out how to play to our advantages naturally and not dwelling on our weaknesses. The presence of weakness simply means that we are human and we are perfectly imperfect. Basically, we want to applaud our natural abilities and not have to rely on picking and choosing our own abilities. That's true. With Nana and Lulu being born, it could mean that instead of punishing or pushing people to always practice good sexual health by getting tested for HIV and STDs like that, we can blame people for not getting genetically engineered to resist HIV. Understanding so far, but what about people like amputees or people who are born without limbs? Can we not enhance them? I'm glad you brought that up. There's a difference between treatment and enhancement. So Treatment using robotic tech like limbs are considered treatment because amputees are born at technically a disadvantage compared to the average human being. We want to push them to the middle on the curve, so to speak. Enhancements are categorized by taking the average human being and using technologies to achieve things that are beyond the scope of the average person, like different colored hair or an automatic HIV resistance at birth. Exactly. To add on, one of my favorite writers, Sandel, puts it in a great way. If genetic engineering allowed us to choose to replace the chance to be genetically advantaged with a choice to do so, the gifted status of humans and accomplishments would basically be non-existent. Also, this gets to the idea of predestination, where if we were to choose our traits, we would be choosing our destiny for our children. Wait, so what I'm hearing is that there's a potential for people at the bottom of society to be seen as unfit and deserving for eugenic repair, rather than be considered as disadvantaged and deserving of some form of compensation. You're catching on quickly. This can be applied to the CRISPR babies that I told you about. We believe in maintaining human dignity. Part of this idea involves concepts like the right to autonomy, informed consent, and accessibility. This gene edit was in germline, meaning that it will be passed down to Nana and Lulu's future children. It's a practical application of bioethics principle of respect for patient autonomy and self-determination, as well as the patient's legal right to bodily integrity. Personal autonomy is the capacity to decide for oneself and pursue a course of action. Performing CRISPR on someone is a violation of the right to informed consent and a violation of their autonomy because they don't know what they're signing up for, and their future children don't know what they're signing up for. There are concerns that CRISPR technology could exacerbate existing social inequalities by allowing wealthy individuals or countries that have access to genetic enhancements, essentially creating a genetic divide between the haves and the have-nots. We believe that such disparities could further marginalize disadvantaged populations and undermine social justice. Anyway, that's the end of my rant. This meeting is adjourned, and you guys are more than welcome to join me in protesting these types of experiments.